Thank you. Please be seated. On behalf of the Provost of the College of Medicine, I want to welcome you to the 6th edition of weekly workshop for a well-informed workforce. This is the 6th edition. I'm sure the last 5 editions were very, very informative and interesting. So once again, you are welcome to this 6th edition. Let me introduce to us the dignitaries on the high table. First and foremost, let me introduce to you the Provost of the College of Medicine, Professor Olayinka Omegbodu. You are welcome. Next to her, I'd like to introduce to us Deputy Provost, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, Professor A.F. Adeniyi. You are welcome, sir. And then seated beside him is Secretary of the College of Medicine, in person of Mr. A.E. Odedele. You are welcome, sir. And then seated at this side of the platform is the Chairman, Capacity Development Committee of the College of Medicine, Dr. O. Ibiyemi. And then we need to bring up the lecturer of today to come and sit beside Dr. Ibiyemi, Dr. Olayinka Egbokhare. Please come and sit beside. So without wasting time, let me bring to the podium the Provost for her welcome address.
Hello, good morning. Today is a beautiful day. Yes, and I don't want to wait. What I want to do now is to share it on the relevant platforms. Did you have it on your platform? Did you get the link about today's meeting? If you got it, put up your hand. But the academic staff don't have it. And that's not good, because both of us need it, because we are moving together. So I'm going to pause for 30 seconds to share it. Mr. Dedayo, can I see where you shared it? Mr. Dedayo, please, I want to know where you are sharing so I don't double share. You shouldn't be sharing. While you're okay, if you have it, please can you share it with other people? Let's share it around, because this is so important. didn't see it. I didn't have it. Can we also call people in our offices to join us? This topic is so important. So let's invite people to come and join us. These are all part of my introductory remarks. Before we do roll call, please invite people to join us. One of the things that I like the most is when something is helping me, I want other people to be helped. If we're all helped together, then it makes the world a better place. Please, let's invite our friends to come and join. This crowd here is very scanty. Even those who are students, do you share with the students groups? At least they can join virtually. It's not a secret. The deputy provost, secretary to the college, the chairman of the college capacity development. I wasn't happy that we did not share with the groups. I actually didn't know we were live streaming because I know you had shared yesterday with, at least I saw it on the consultant group, but there was no link or Zoom. So I think we need to be more intentional about publicity because I'm learning so much from these activities. It's really helping me to become a better person. And of course, I acknowledge Dr. Olayinka Egbokhare, a world-class communicator. I'm aspiring to communicate well like you, so that the last interview you did with with Professor I.F. Adewale was really, really awesome. And many of the things you do, my biggest fear for the University of Ibadan is that one international agency will come and pay you big money and take you away from this vicinity. Okay, she will be going and coming. Okay, they say you will be going and coming. You'll be going and coming. That's what you want. Not that she will go permanently. That's what we want. But before you go and start going and coming, you need to train us so that many more people can really learn the arts, and I would say the science of communication. Because it's really going to help us. The way you talk. And I know that this morning she's going to, I don't know if she's going to touch on that. But one of the things I know about communication is not just what you say. It's how you say it, your whole body, your eye contact, the way your body is. Because I've seen some people, they will say, "Mi obinu, kusin kokon." But from their body language, you know that, yes. I don't know, is that a right form of, what kind of communication is that? Non-verbal. But when, yes, so it's called non-verbal, where your body stance is quite different from what you're saying with your mouth, and so on and so forth. So I just want to welcome all of us once again to come and learn more about communication. And I believe that at some point we are taking the register. At some point we will issue certificates of attendance for a series of groups. I hope to do that before I leave office, so that when you are writing your CV, maybe when you have that international job, the one that will make you go and come. Oh yes, not the one that will make you jackpot. Oh yeah. That jackpot one is suffering. Oh yes, it is. This is the place where things are happening. Right here in Nigeria. You wait and see. Mark my words. By this time next year, oh, things will be much better. Yes. Much, much better. I believe it. So on that note, I just want to welcome you. I especially welcome the leaders of our unions. Acknowledge them. If you are a union leader, please put up your hand. Thank you very much. Where is Mrs. Pratt? She's not here. Tell her that I'm looking for her. So I just want to welcome all of us, and let's sit back and learn and keep getting better. God bless you all. Thank you.
Can we give a better round of applause, please? Thank you, ma, for that welcome speech. I want to invite the ITU to come and give us tips. This morning, you have just 10 minutes for that.
Good morning, Provost Ma. Good morning, Deputy Provost, the CS College of Medicine, and all dignitaries on the high table. My name is Atonda Gabriel. I'm from the Information Technology Unit, and this morning, okay, it's on. Okay. Good morning, Ma, the Provost Ma. Good morning, Deputy Provost, the College Secretary of Secretary College of Medicine, and all dignitaries on the high table. My name is Atonda Gabriel Olugbenga, and I'll be bringing to you our presentation from the Information Technology Unit. And what I intend presenting to you today is not something that is quite new. It's not something out of the blue. It's something many of us here are quite familiar with. And I'll be talking from this presentation on efficient file management. Okay. So I'll be talking on efficient file management and how to use WIR and how to zip and unzip our documents. So these are the objectives I intend to cover in the course of this presentation. I'll be telling us the importance of file compression for efficient management of our files, and steps on how to zip and unzip folders, and the third objective is practical applications in a real-life scenario on how to do some of these things. So what are the importance of compression for efficient management? Number one, I mentioned there, it reduces storage space. Zipping file actually compresses them with significantly reduced their sizes. This is especially useful for managing limited storage space on our hard drive or storage devices. And at the same time, it enhances security. Just as the head of ITU, Reverend Ayitule, mentioned 2 weeks ago, when he was teaching on how to protect our Word documents and files, he made mention of how to, he taught us how to password our documents so as to make it more secured from non-intruders. So, just as we can do on our Word documents, we can actually do that on our zipped file as well. And convenient distribution. One of the advantage of having a compressed file is it actually makes it quite easy for us to send those documents. Instead of we waiting a longer time to send maybe a 1 gig document or folder, if it is being compressed, we can easily do the sending in no time. And at the same time, it preserves the file integrity in the sense that the file will be quite secure, and even at times when the system gets corrupt, in as much what we have in the zipped, in the compressed file is not exposed, it won't be affected. So what I'll be teaching today, they have different tools in which we can use in doing that, but I'm just citing this as an example, but we are making use of the one in the middle called WinRAR. We have different ways of going about it, but the science behind it is all the same. So the first one is Windows Explorer. I mean the one on the immediate left. The one on the middle is WinRAR, and the one on the right-hand side is 7-zip. I'm quite sure many of us might have seen this icon on our system and we don't know what it's actually meant for. So I'll actually expose us to what it is being used for. So these are steps on how to zip a file. The first thing first is to actually go on Google for those that doesn't have the software on their system, and type into Google web search WinRAR, and once it takes you to the website, you can just click and download it on your site, on your system. And the second step is to, once the WinRAR is well installed on your system, the second thing to do is to right-click on your system and select the actual folder or file which you intend to zip, and create a compressed file with it. Though I'll be showing us how to actually do that. And the fourth step is actually to do the configuration, do some little settings which you want to do on it. Then step 5 creates the archive, and step 6 you can verify what the compression has actually done for you. So do this. So I have a document here. This is a folder. This multi-2 is a folder, and as you can see from this folder, we have multiple files inside it. We have multiple files inside it. If I keep clicking, you keep seeing different files. And from here, you can see the size of this file, or this folder. This folder is 17.3 megabytes, so it's taking 17.3 megabytes space on my system. And if I'm to send this to anyone, it's going to take a longer time to beat. Even if I want to send it via email, it will take a longer time before I can get to send this. But if I'm to use a compression to compress it, all I just need to do is right-click, just as I mentioned. I'll come to Add Archive. Once I click on it, it's going to bring me to it's going to bring up a pop-up, and it's going to ask for the name which I want to use in saving it. So I can just say then it will ask for the archive format I want to use in saving. I'm using the zip. So once I click on zip, if there is need for me to password it, I can always come here and add my password to it. Okay, I think the version which I'm using doesn't have that password option. Okay, this is it here, set password. So I can just enter the password I want to use in saving this particular zip file, and I'll click on OK. So in a few minutes time, this zip file will be ready, and we will get to check the size it eventually came out with. So as you can see, this is just 6 megabytes compared to the 8 megabytes, which the original, the way it was. And the application of this is that, for instance, for those that work in maybe the finance section, where you get to do maybe monthly reports, monthly financial reports, and you have it in years. So you can most possibly archive some of those reports which you've done over the years and probably send it to your online archiving software which you are making use of. That is actually going to reduce your space, and you can easily bring all those documents back at a single click, and all your files will be intact and safe. So I think with this, we've been able to achieve all the objectives which I aimed at teaching today, which is making you know the importance of file compression for efficient management, and steps on how to zip and unzip a file. And at this junction, if there's any form of maybe you are quite confused, or you can always come to our office for more explanation. Thank you, sirs. Thank you, ma'am.
He has done a good job, and I believe he deserves a better round of applause. Thank you very much. Thank you. You are well appreciated. As he was making his presentation, the financial controller of the College of Medicine walked in person of Mr. Eso and Yoshina. You are very much welcome, sir. Then we are going to the main lecture of today, which is titled, Communication is not what you say, but what they hear. Tips on effective workplace communication. Can I bring up to the podium for the presentation Dr. Olayinka Egbokhare? You are welcome, man.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. The Provost, College of Medicine, University of Ibadan, Deputy Provost, the Secretary to the College, the Financial Controller, the Chair of the College Training, I'd hoped that this morning I will not hear BCC throughout, but I've not started, I have had BCC. Maybe we would take care of the microphones on the table so that I can use this one. It's okay, I can use it. I think this is the one making noise. Thank you. I'm going to be on autopilot this morning because what I tried to do is a bit too much for the time that we have. So I want to crave your indulgence to please move along with me. We're going to get these slides, so we would have an opportunity to, in our maybe free time, look at it more closely if we wish to. So we said communication is not what you say, but what they hear. So every time we communicate, we do a lot of things. One, we ask ourselves, what is the motivation or reason for communication? So we don't communicate without a reason. Then we also ask ourselves about the composition of the message. Is it something technical? Is it something elaborate? What exactly do you want to express? Then we move from that point to how am I going to express it? Am I going to use the spoken word? Am I going to use written communication? Am I going to use WhatsApp? This is important. Then we find a way to share the encoded message. For those of us that were at the first lecture, we talked about noise in communication. What you just heard now is an example of noise. And as you can see, the slide was already up before that noise came. So noise is anything that interferes with communication. It can be mechanical, it can be technical, and it can also be psychological. There are a lot of times that when we are interacting with people, a lot of other things are happening around us. In our minds, it could be maybe stress. Maybe you've not slept very well and you came to work. Your communication on that particular day is going to be affected. So let's bear in mind, anything that interferes with communication is noise. Now, there's also the issue of reception of signals. Remember what our topic says again. It's not what you say, but what they hear. So sometimes the speaker has good intentions, the speaker's message is well formulated, but what the receiver hears is different. And what you hear is what you will interpret, not necessarily what the speaker said. Now, we started off by saying that communication is affected by your desire to share knowledge. So you put together ideas, information, experiences in a way that the receiver will understand. Now let's look at feedback in communication. So when we relate to people in the workplace, we expect a response. Is that acceptable to all of us? If you relate with people and you don't expect a response, then what you're trying to say is that communication is linear, and communication is supposed to be a process. You communicate, people get the information, they respond. That is the only time you can say you have communicated. Now, we've mentioned noise, and I want us to take note of the pervasiveness of communication. So, even those days that our superior officer says things to us that we refuse to answer, just like the provost mentioned earlier, your refusal to answer is communication. So even in our silence, we are communicating. So as we are seated right here, you are not holding the microphone, but you are communicating. Can we try not to communicate for like 30 seconds? Can we blank our minds and not think, and not look, and not know? Communication is all around us, is unending. You cannot say when you've started communicating and when you have stopped. And the decision not to communicate is itself communication. So everything about to communicate something to someone else. We've already said that. Now, there's this thing I would like to quickly correct. Some of us already know it, some may not. Oftentimes, we say, oh, I gave a verbal instruction. And when we are saying that, we mean spoken or oral. So communication is in two forms. There's the verbal and there's the non-verbal. Please note that verbal means both oral and written. It is not only spoken. Oral and written. Yes. Verbal means using words. So those words could either be spoken or written. Non-verbal. Non-verbal, on the other hand, is everything that you do without words. So I hope we get the distinction. Verbal, using words. Non-verbal, without words. Yes. So let's quickly look at the advantages of oral communication. One major advantage is that it creates and sustains warm interpersonal relationships. So when you are seeing the person you are interacting with, you form a bond or not. Then you have this advantage that you can combine sight, sound, motion. You can see the way I'm using my hand. If this were to be a phone conversation, and I'm talking, nobody is seeing the person I'm speaking with, and I'm doing like this, people will look at me twice. But in a face-to-face interaction, you cannot avoid using nonverbal communication. Now, another advantage of oral communication is that it allows for instantaneous exchange of ideas. So immediately I say something, if you have something to say along the line, you would share it. I told you I'm on autopilot, so please permit me. The other thing I want us to remember about oral communication is that you can use oral communication to prevent slight disagreements into degenerating into deep-seated grievances. If you get a memo or a letter and there's a clause or paragraph that you found offensive, most likely you will also carry your system and type a rejoinder. But if you are speaking in a face-to-face interaction and I say something that does not go down well with you, immediately you will call my attention to it and say, point of correction, this was not what I said. And then I'll get the correct message. So it has many advantages. However, just as it has advantages, it has many disadvantages too. It lacks permanence. And that's why in the workplace, it is often better for us, for records purposes. Even if something has been done using oral communication, please try to follow it up with documentation. Because I can forget, either deliberately or accidentally. And we'll be having this argument. I told you, you did not tell me, back and forth. So please remember, it lacks permanence. Sometimes when we think people are trying to be mischievous, when they say they don't remember that we told them something, they probably did not even get that initial message. So remembering will not occur. It is also prone to distortion. So I can hear something different from what is said. It can be easily denied. Then it cannot be used as contractual evidence in the court of law. You can't come and say, I said, you said. There's no evidence. So let's bear this in mind. Written communication, on the other hand, is very good if you want to preserve documents, and is the best way to represent any complex matter easily and accurately. Let's look at some of the advantages. It can help the authority to delegate power. So if something needs to be done and someone else can do it, you can share maybe the terms of reference or instructions that will make the person know what to do. Let's look at bullet number 3. It makes distorting or altering information difficult. let's remember all the things we said about oral communication. Now, if there's written evidence and the other person in communication denies, what do? You pull out the evidence and say you minuted on this. You saw it, you are aware, and that puts a stop to the argument. So it can be verified if the need arises, and it is also a legal document that can be tendered in the court of law. I remember the FC saying that there are some things that we cannot just do because they need, when we were talking about automation for finance, that they need paper traffic. And the computer can crash, people can infect your computer, but paper is still very good. Now, but it's not all good for paper because there are disadvantages. There are times that some letters, memos get to your table and they stay there for weeks or months. Sometimes you even forget them. Sometimes you read them and you may not remember to act on them. So it may lack spontaneous feedback. Then it may also make it difficult for the speaker or for the sender to amend. I'm sure you've had these instances before. A letter comes, and then another letter comes, and they say this one supersedes the one that came before. That's the problem with written communication. You cannot amend immediately. Now, it is also subject to errors. Errors in dates, especially if you are fond of going into the file to pick a copy of a memo that is circulated in 2022 and just change name, then you forgot to change the date. So we're in 2024 and we are getting a memo dated 2022. It is prone to error. Please, even if it's something that is routinely done, don't do copy and paste of old memos. Read them. Add a sentence to make it different. Let's look at the last bullet. It makes confidentiality or secrecy difficult to maintain. I'm sure there's someone here who has received a memo, letter, written communication that was not intended for them before. Something meant for someone else, but somebody wants to quickly giant sí pé ǹjẹ́ ti gbọ́ pé kí ni wọ́n bá jù sí. That's the problem with written documents in the workplace. They can fly, especially in this age of mobile devices. All one needs to do is scan and send. Remember all those things that are coming from Aso Rock and getting into your phones? And there's so much avenue for information to leak when it is written. You will see the other aspects when you get the slides. Now let's quickly talk about superior subordinate communication. I want us to look at the image here. Superior subordinate. So we call it downward communication. This is what happens in your unit when the superior officer communicates with the people working with them. Some of us don't like the term subordinate, but the business communication books still use superior subordinate. It's a channel of providing directives, instructions, plans, policies. The things that the superior officer wants you to get done come through this method. And it is usually information flowing down. And it could be through verbal or non-verbal communication. Let's remember that verbal is both oral and written. So it is the management's responsibility to find a way of making sure that the people involved in downward communication understand the information that they send. We should not assume. So when a memo is sent and we want action to be taken upon it, we should follow up to make sure that the receiver knows what is expected of them. We're going to rush. Now, remember I said this is more about giving directives. It's a lot more about giving directives. But then, let's look at another form of communication. Upward communication. Are we together? This is when communication flows, can we say, from the subordinates to the superior. We give them vital information. We try to give reasons for why we did some things. We give reports. Now, we're going to get to the difficult parts now. It is not all the time that subordinates tell us all that we need to know, and we'll get there. So sometimes they withhold information. Let's look at this slide together. According to this author, when a subordinate has a desire for upward mobility, they are not likely to tell their superiors the difficulties they are facing with their work. Yes or no? So if I'm looking at being promoted, am I going to go to my superior officer every time and let them know the aspects of the job I'm struggling with? Not likely. I'm going to keep forming. I understand what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. Now, let's still move on. Are we together on this page? I'm not going to read because you can read. Do we believe this? Do superiors in UI, in College of Medicine, have the power to hire and fire, the power to block promotions, the power to stop salary or increments? Do they have the power to withhold assignments or training sponsorship? Are you answering in your mind? Mass answers. So what does this suggest to us? Does it say that we have to always be in the good books of our superiors so that they will not block these opportunities? Are we still together? I'm not going to say more on that. So that sometimes when we are antagonistic towards our superiors, we know that even when they don't tell us, there are places where they can block opportunities. They can just say, you don't want to put Yinka in that position. I've worked with her. I know what she's capable of. They may not even say it like that. They may just say something you did wrong. Sorry, man, not Yinka the provost. Yinka the speaker, pardon me. So how do we improve subordinate-superior communication? Open door policy. Open door policy. Open door policy does not mean some people can come to your office while some others cannot. Please, if we are together, I want to know. But then, even when a superior runs an open door policy, there are some of us that will never make use of that opportunity. Yes or no? So that we'll know what is in place. If you want to see a superior officer and nobody stops you, but you refuse to see them, then it is not the system that is at fault. It is the subordinates. Complaints bureau. Most organizations don't have this. But do you know that right at the Potter's Lodge of the college building, there's a suggestion box? How many people have dropped something inside before? When was the last time it was opened? Where is the key? Who is the custodian? Sir. So there's supposed to be a complaints bureau. There's supposed to be a place where people can lodge complaints. And if they're afraid of going in person, there should be a place where they can just drop the complaints and go. There should also be a grievance procedure. So if things disturb me in the workplace, and I need to talk to someone. Who should I talk to? Now, if the person disturbing me, let's take an example from BCC. Maybe there's a problem between myself and Mr. Bajo. He may not want to bring his grievance to me, especially if he knows that I never admit my fault. So the grievance procedure should be such that he should be able to go to the secretary to the college to say, this and this is what Dr. Egbokhare did. I need redress. But are we aware of the grievance procedure? If we are aware, would we use it? Then let's quickly talk about barriers to effective communication in the workplace. We've talked about this, but then there are things that stop us from doing some of these complaints, grievance procedure, and what have you. There are physical barriers. In BCC, for instance, we have offices on 3 floors. So, and we don't have a book you sign to say you're at work. That is a barrier to effective communication. And there's the issue of contiguity. Sometimes you keep calling the people you see to work. The people that are on another floor may just be on flanger throughout, unless it becomes necessary to call them. Then there's the way the system is designed too. You would notice this, that there are times in the same office, some people are overworked, whereas some people, even as you are overworked, they are catching up with African Magic Yoruba, because the system is designed in such a way that they have very little to do, and we've not empowered them to do more. There are attitudinal barriers. There are barriers that have to do with our persons, and these have nothing to do with the system. So your personality, your kind of nature, some people are just the good legs of an organization. Some people are a bad leg. They know it, their superiors know it, their colleagues know it. Are you a good or bad leg? Another problem that creates barrier in organizational communication is fear of reprimand or being criticized. So sometimes we want to complain, sometimes we want to seek redress, but we're afraid of repercussion. We don't want to be reprimanded. Sometimes our challenge is language. Some of us would have been very good at writing petition, but because we have language issues, if some people could speak English very well, they'll be experts at writing petition. So the use of jargon and all of those things affects communication. Then there's also gender barrier. So your superior is female, you are male, and your superior is showing you pepe. And you are just thinking, how do I now go to this female superior and complain? I've seen a situation before, I heard, where a male subordinate was crying because of something that happened between himself and the superior, male. Sometimes we think it's only female that are disadvantaged. Sometimes the males too are. Now let's move faster. Another way of checking how things are going in the organization is to use interview. And some superiors use this to a disadvantage. They'll call some people behind and get information from them. A situation where you don't call everybody means you are going to get lopsided information. Because I'm going to do face work and give you the information that I think you need. So if you are interviewing people because something happened in the workplace, please ask everybody, including the accused. That is the only way to be fair. We're going to quickly move on to interpersonal communication skills, because this has something to do with our discussion. Self-presentation. So who are you? How are you presenting yourself in the workplace? Some people want to be seen as intelligent, capable, full of expertise. Some people just want to be seen as friendly or likable. But some people, especially when they are competent, they try to show others that they know best, that they are better trained, they are more capable. Please, let's quickly stop on this. Sometimes they don't recognize it. Because if you are efficient, if you are brilliant, if you are excellent, you have to watch yourself and make sure you do not lapse into being obnoxious. You are not showing off, but you can't stand tardiness. So you are quick to act, quick to do things, but the people perceiving may see it as you just being difficult. So, self-presentation, how we present ourselves. And through interpersonal communication also, we're able to persuade people, we're able to understand people better. Let's stop on this point quickly. Cultural intelligence. How many of us here are from Edo State? Edo State in the house. Edo origin. Please wave your hand very well. Thank you, my in-laws. I've not had breakfast, so I'll see you after the presentation. Let me recognize you very well so that I know where I'm coming. Edo or Bendel. Thank you. How many people are from any part of northern Nigeria? Anybody from northern Nigeria? How many of us are non-Yorubas? You are not a Yoruba. Please wave your hand very well. This includes our Edo people again. Okay. So, points taken. Please, let us stop assuming that every UI staff is a Yoruba person. Are we together? Stop speaking Yoruba to them for official matters. Some people do not speak Yoruba. This university is meant for everybody that is Nigerian. Now, we keep talking about Japa. If some people Japa, they will deport them because they lack cultural intelligence. They do not know how to respect other people's culture. They've not recognized their own cultural biases. So you stay in your office and say something like, Yoruba kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn o. Ọmọ Yoruba tán kọ́ dáadáa kò kì í ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn. Before you finish saying it, one Yoruba person will do exactly what you said Yoruba kì í ṣe. Are we still together? Yes. Please, let's stop making all those general, stereotypical statements. Because people are people, wherever they come from. Let's watch it. Then let's also practice cultural sensitivity. So expressions like Ajokuta Mamumi, Nyomiri, all those derogatory references. Kobo. People that are non-Yorubas are called different. Let's stop using them. And the other people too call us Ofe, they call us names too. Ofe Manu, people that their soup is watery and all of that. Oil. Too much. Please, let's stop it. Everybody that works here has a right to be here. Let's respect the culture of others and let's respect cultural boundaries. Then emotional intelligence too. Monitor your emotions. If we do all of this, we would get along better with people in the workplace. There are many times that we have argued with people in the office because we did not monitor our emotion. So I already came to work stressed. Then somebody just, one small thing, and it was like lighting fire. The problem started before I came to work. Maybe I've been expecting these alerts that did not come. Then you now came with one funny thing. I'll snap. Emotional intelligence. Monitor your emotions. Monitor the emotion of other people too. If you've seen our face that morning, and the face is looking like okra that does not want to draw, maintain your distance. That's not the day to now start cracking dry jokes or looking for the person's trouble. Before somebody will come and shout on your head for something that you know nothing about. Then practice self-regulation. How far should I go? Then, please, let's develop a good sense of humor. A lot of the things we argue about, we can overlook them and laugh over them. When was the last time you noticed the moon? We're thinking of the price of gari, price of beans. We've forgotten that the moon comes out. We don't even know what it looks like. Emma Jeka Parawao. Let's learn to be good listeners and let's show empathy. Expressions like, kilo ti ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wọ, ngba náà ńkọ́. If they tell all of us to come and put a load of worries here, then you will know that some people have more worries than you do. Let's quickly look at this together. Is it okay to be frank with our superiors? And when we are frank with them, when we tell them the truth, do they act on it? That's a question for us too. We improve our communication by practice. So we're going to do something quickly. If you have your notes or your phone, you can use this to answer the question. Please, let's read this story together. Every day, okay, let's stop there. Can you write a word down? When they're talking about something serious, do they raise their voices or their voices drop? Please write your answer. Their voices drop. Okay, let's go on. So, when they gather together more closely, what kind of thing are they saying? Something tí etiquette ò gbọdọ̀ gbọ́ nínú ọ́fíìsì ó dáa. Sometimes when what will they be talking about? Tí wọ́n máa wò ta ló ń bọ̀. I hope the people we are talking about are not present. Do you know that there are times that when you are being talked about and you enter the office, you feel the energy? Wọ́n ṣe sọ̀rọ̀ mi tán ni. Let's continue. A male colleague, let's read on. I hope you remember that Angela was talking with them before Kola came. Now Angela and Kola are talking. They are winking. She's left out. So now the discussion is about Angela and Kola, even though they are both there. Now let's look at these questions. When their voices, what happens to their voices when the issue they are talking about is serious? How will their voices be? Now, what kind of thing would we be talking about in the office that people will not sit at their desk, we will gather close together? Maybe about promotion, or sack, or money, or a scandal. Ọ̀rọ̀ má jẹ́ a gbọ́. Yorùbá ní irọ́ ló wà ńbẹ̀. So when you say, don't let us there, we have heard. Why would their eyes dart suspiciously around? Why are they looking around? Now, between Kola and Angela, do you detect any sign of intimacy? What non-verbal cues do we see that suggest this? Yes? Okay. So sometimes people can see. It is not about what you say. Maybe it's not intentional. So I hope there's no Kola here and no Angela. Kola and Angela, they are seen. Let's quickly do these tests. We're getting close to the end of our discussion. If this is you, don't speak aloud. Just acknowledge. I finish people's sentences for them. Yabalela, and you have just fallen victim. I was going to say Yabalela Lubarika. I did not say Pumolaje. You said it. When I'm listening to someone, I make eye contact with them. When you are talking to me, I'm the subordinate, you are the superior. I make eye contact with you. Or it's not cultural. Is it a sign of disrespect when the provost is talking to me? For me to be looking at her face, or I should be looking elsewhere? DP, sir. When you're talking to me and I'm looking at Korokoro, is that polite? It's okay. The DP says it's okay for him. So when the DP is talking to you, what do you want one-on-one? Let's go on. Hello. When somebody is saying something that I disagree with, somebody is speaking and I disagree with the person, will I allow the person to finish? I'll just say, point of correction. Then when people talk to me, do I try to see their perspective or, I know what I'm saying. Whatever you're saying is wrong. Is that the way I go about communication in the workplace? Or do I cut people some slack and assume maybe what they are saying too makes sense? Then when people are talking to me, or when I'm talking to people, am I conscious of their body language? There are many times that people have told us to be quiet, and we still kept talking. They've shown you in their body language that they are not interested in what you are saying. But because you were not paying attention, you still went on. Before I say anything to anybody in the workplace, do I think about how what I want to say will affect them? Do I consider cultural differences? Now, I will ask this of both genders. Sirs, when a female colleague has gained weight, do you say, Ojuni Mandon, Emati Sonrasi, you've grown fatter? The word fatter. You will not even say, you've gained weight. And sisters, do we also do that? Meanwhile, you that you are telling somebody that they've grown fatter, you are slim, and you are telling another person, did they solicit the information? Are we close enough? Body shaming, anything. Sometimes people are very sensitive about those things. If my superior officer is wrong and has made a mistake, will I tell him so? When I have a negative opinion, do I say it? Do I keep quiet? Or if I'm going to say, do I start with a positive comment and then say it? We've said enough, but there's still so much more to say. You will permit me to rush through this in 5 minutes and we'll be done. So, specifically now on our language use in the workplace. Pardon me. It's hanging. Okay. I'm having challenges moving this, so I'll just speak to it. Or maybe, Ire, please, if you don't mind. I'll continue until I can get some assistance with the slide. I think it's the system that is, yes, ma'am, the system is frozen. Okay, it's going now. It's enough. Thank you. So we've talked at length about what communication is. We will skip all of this. We've said it can be verbal or non-verbal. Let's talk about language. Please, let's note that language is the most powerful tool of communication. It can be a bridge, it can be a barrier. And it mirrors our culture. It mirrors what we have inside of us. Then we can use language to alienate people, or we can use it to draw them close. Every time we speak to people in the workplace, please let's answer these questions. The 5 W's and 1 H. Who am I speaking to? What do I say to them? Where am I speaking to them? So there are some things I can tell someone in my office that I cannot tell them in the general office or on the corridor. Are we still together on this? Please, let's mind the context. Who else is there? Is this, especially when I want to reprimand someone or chastise them, do other people need to be there? Now, let's look at the first bullet together. Are we there? What does it say? Second bullet together. There are people here, I'm speaking to the third bullet now. There are people here who can remember what some teachers said to them in primary school. Do I have witnesses? What your mother said to you in primary school, you can still remember. So words outlive their users. Please, let's always bear that in mind. You have said it, you have apologized, the person said, I've forgiven you, but they will not forget. Now, this is comic relief, it's not something serious. We know about Agbon. They asked him on fuel subsidy, and he had this to say. If you can read it, then you are a genius. But the totality of everything he's saying, I've read with a catalectic disgust government's asinine and puerile ratiocinations attempting to justiciate the proposed removal of subsidies from petroleum products. It has asseverated that it has intentions that are guided by the need to checkmate the adoriferous excesses of a Machiavellian and Mephistophelian cabal. And I've said to myself, what a shame, what a self-indicting admittal of the failure of governance, what an hocus pocus. Please don't ask me for the meaning, I don't know. You are as confused as I am. So when we speak, when we talk to people, 3 important things: clarity, clear language. Number 2, conciseness. What you can say in 2 sentences. Don't say in 15. We came to work, not to gist. So get to the point. Don't wait until I say, what's the totality of what you are... Don't let me tell you to round off. Please. Conciseness, clarity, compelling. And our style is also important. Remember, we already said language is the most powerful tool of communication. Words are symbols, they can paint pictures, they can invoke emotions. And they have both denotative and connotative meaning. Let's look at the word run, R-U-N. It can be used in 71 ways as a verb. How do you run your affair? We've run out of time. We need to run this together. You can use run in 71 ways as a verb, 35 ways as a noun, and 4 ways as an adjective. when communication is ineffective, it can have fatal consequences. And if you read reports of air crashes, sometimes it's because someone missed out on communication. Now, please note, communication is effective when the message intended is the message received. Words are powerful weapons. We once had a German guest who came to dinner, and throughout, he did not speak a word. He did not say a word, but he enjoyed the food because I saw he had a second helping and a third helping. I only got to know later that he did not understand English. He couldn't speak English. So when language is a problem, you can be cut off. We're getting close to the end of our discussion. Please remember that language or words are used in context. Also remember that in some languages, in some cultures, words are straightforward, not in Yoruba. One word and a change of tone, the intonation would change the meaning. We've talked about noise. Please remember, avoid linguistic noise. And when you use language, be accurate, be culturally correct, be relevant, be appropriate. Don't use words that should not be used in the office. Be aware of the message, be aware of people who will interpret what you have said. Let's look at this. So there's a meeting, and Mr. Adedayo is speaking to the provost. And he said, you should look at this, ma, before the meeting. You should look at this. Or he said, you might want to look at this before the meeting. Are the two sentences the same? Remember what we said, superior, subordinates? We need to know how to speak to our superiors so that it does not sound as if we are commanding them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please be seated. I've learned so much today. I'm always so excited when Dr. Olayinka Egbokhare speaks. And I honestly always thought that verbal communication was verbal. But you said it's both what you say and what you write. I learned I'm serious. I learned something. So I thought the written word is different from the spoken word. But they're all verbal. They're both verbal. That's interesting. Well, that's our communication expert. Another round of applause. Let's have some questions, very few because of time. Let's have a couple of people ask questions. Anybody from the office of, one person from the office of the provost, please, if you can come, take a question. Anybody from hematology, please put up your hand if from your hematology. You have a question. Please come out and ask a question. Finance department. If you are from finance, please put up your hand. Finance. If you are from finance, nobody from finance here. Is that Mrs. Winjobi? Okay, please come and ask a question. I can see the president of the secretaries of University of Ibadan. I was looking for you. You have a question, I'm sure. You don't have a question. You came in late. Let the representative of the security officers, Mrs. Momishere, come and ask a question about communication. Where is the person from the office of the provost? Where is the person from the office of the provost? If you are in the office of the provost, please stand up. Let me just make sure you are here. Mrs. Babani, please come and ask a question. You must have a question on communication. Please come and ask a question, Ms. Babani. HR&D. Ms. Babani, I said come and ask. Oh, make some comments. Make some comments. Some comments. Miss HR&D, are you here? Where are the other members of HR&D? Okay, Pastor. Pastor, you must have a question. Maybe you can ask about the role of prayer in the HR&D department. Pastor Mikule, please. Anybody from Department of Psychiatry? It didn't come to no psychiatry. Is anybody from psychiatry here? Mr. Agbola, what's up? You're not proud to be from psychiatry. You should be very proud. You raise up your hand, please come. Yes, come on. You don't have any question. Because psychiatry, we are the peak of communicators. Because we learn about human behavior. And so communication from us is so important. And all of us are very wonderful people. So let's just take those comments for now.
Okay, good morning, everybody.
Where are the other people? Okay, who are those that have genuine questions? Put up, if you have questions, please come. Quick. 1, 2. Anybody else? 1, 2. 3. I was a bit relieved because we had 2 men, and then at least I was happy to have a woman. Any other questions? Okay. One of the things that, I'm just saying this because communication, you said, is verbal, written and spoken. One of the criticisms that I have heard, and let me be honest, it's actually been told me, is that they say I write too much. That things that I should say, just go and discuss, that I put it to writing. So, one of the things you had mentioned is that it's very important to document things. And one of the actually, one of my mentors in my position as provost has also advised me to write things, to send memos. The person is a former provost. Because one of the things he has said is that those documents will be there. Somebody may be reviewing your work 20 years, 30 years, and they will see certain things and they will say, what did this person do about it? You understand what I'm saying? Because those documents are going to be there for years and years. What did you do about it? So on that note, maybe you want to comment about a balance, particularly when you are being accused, or not accused, let me say, people trying to improve you, telling you that, you write so much. So let's have your comments. Introduce yourself, your name, and then give your comments. Thank you so much. And your department.
Okay, ma. Good morning, everyone. Hello.
Sorry, do we have comments from management? Oh, secretary. Okay, I will come back to you. Okay.
Good morning, ma. Good morning to everyone. This morning, I'm really blessed. I really appreciate our speaker for doing a very good job. Thank you very much. God bless you. I've learned about reading. There's
you know what? Because we are online, they can't see you well. Can you come and stand here away from the light? So that, yes, people online on YouTube will see your, yes, thank you.
Concerning written document, there's a document that came recently from the office of the college secretary talking about fire outbreak and fire that we should put up all our equipment in the laboratory. I want to talk about that. Also, I want to talk about open doors. You said we should be able to have access to our superiors, and you talk about suggestion box, which I myself have not been able to make use of, though I have a very important question. My question goes to the Deputy Registrar, that there was a workshop that was on fire drill and usage of fire extinguisher. And this workshop was done for the office of the registry, for those staff in the registry office. While we that are in the lab, I work in the lab, were left out in the workshop. Sir, please, with this discussion now, I hope you'll be able to address our play, that you should involve us in the workshop because we need it. It's very important to us. Thank you, sir.
I think which lab do you work in? Hematology lab. I'm sure the secretary of the college will apologize because fire, what they call it, fire drill, it's not just for administrative staff. All of us need to be saved. If there's a fire, we need to know. Not only academic, you left out academic staff too. Serving to the college. Yes, thank you very much for that excellent, excellent comment. Next, please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Famori Eliademilola. I'm from the E. Latunde Odeko Medical Library. My question actually goes in the direction of the cultural issues she mentioned during her presentation. You know, this is a multi-ethnic and multicultural country. The country is volatile in terms of religion and ethnicity. So when she mentioned the issue of cultural boundary, so I would want you, ma, to shed more light on this issue of cultural boundary, so that we'll learn how to relate with one another without crossing the cultural line, so that we can relate with one another smoothly. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you so much. Very important.
My name is Babani from the Provost Office. I'm Ms. Babani from the Provost Office. Thank you, ma. I understand language is good, and then we should be concise in whatever we say. I will just add that we should encourage upward communication. There is always downward communication, but upward communication should be encouraged. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. That is such an excellent, excellent comment. I knew you had something great to say.
Good morning, ma. Good morning, sir. So my question,
your name?
I'm Feishara Taiwo from the Provost Office. My question this morning goes to relationship between communication between superior and subordinate. Most times it's not a easy form of communication, especially between subordinate to superior officers. So ma, let me just say, in an instance where you are quite right or you are sure of what you are saying, how best do you prove your point to your superior? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody. The provost and our guys on the ITU. I think I will have to add, on a lighter mood now, I like to add some fun to it. Let me start with the provost. I'm seeing the provost for the first time looking very gorgeous. Am I communicating? It's part of communication. Thank you. So when I entered, I actually did not know it was the provost sitting. I was asking this person beside her, who is that person? Is she from UI? He said, that's the provost. I said, what? She's looking young. Even at that age. Sorry, ma. All right. Ayodeji Odunaike from Ibarakwa program. Maybe because I've not been seeing her regularly. But the fact is still there that she's looking younger every day. Maybe she will have to give us the joker, because I too want to look young or younger. Okay. On a more serious note now. On a more serious note now. Let me appreciate our lecturer. I think I've attended our lecture 1 or 2 times or 3 times, and I've never seen any of the lecture that's not worth it. You feel like she should just continue. You feel like she should just continue. You don't want the lecture to end. Because even though she summarizes most of those lectures, because if you give her time, I'm sure she can spend 5 hours talking. I think it's part of her. Even right from UI till when she came to college. But now, my comment now has to link up with the subordinates and the boss or the superior angle. But I'm not going to talk about it in terms of boss to staff or junior or senior worker or whatever. I'm going to relate it to our own job. In my station, we teach students. And sometimes we carry out research and do a presentation where we ask students to come and present what they have learned from the community and defend all the data they've collected. So during some of those presentations, we used to have our colleagues who contribute to what the students are saying. And sometimes there used to be one argument or the other in terms of knowledge or in terms of what you know and what I know. So there was this scenario that a student was presenting one day, and after presentation, one of the staff came up to tell the students that what he said wasn't correct, that it was supposed to be like this. But the student was thinking that it wasn't right. So the student had to come up again and told the superior that, sir, you are not correct. That you are not correct. That he can stand instances. I think we were talking about sampling and sampling procedures and whatever. So he can cite so many authorities to tell you that the sample size that he took and the pattern that he adopted was the right measure. So the team became a part, almost became an argument to make the program stand still. So some of us who are more seniors came up to try and settle the matter and told the student that he should keep his knowledge to himself for now. Keep your knowledge to yourself for now. After the presentation, we can talk more so that we don't turn this place to another thing. We had a way to resolve the matter, but I want to find out, is it proper when a superior is teaching and he brings out some facts or authority and a student? You know, I told you in the beginning that I'm not talking about staff now, I'm talking about lecturer, student. If the student feels what the lecturer is saying is wrong, is it proper for that student to stand out in front of the lecturer in the auditorium to tell the lecturer that what he is saying is wrong, sir? That's my question. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you for your kind words. I enjoyed my time in Egbokhare, and I believe that, it's a rural community and with lots of fresh air. And I believe that's what's reflecting on this communication. Before Dr. Egbokhare, I think the secretary to the college has some comments, but I just wanted to talk about a few things. Secretary to the college, do we have a proper grievance procedure? I would want us, if we don't have a proper, it's very important that we need to put in a grievance process and make it known to everybody here so that everybody feels safe. And also, I want you to comment on the suggestion boxes. I know we have not taken care to review that, but I think it's something we can do very quickly. And I remember from the last meeting, yourself and the FC were supposed to come up with something about pension, and you were supposed to present it at this meeting. So both of you, please, FC and Secretary to the college, we want you to present how our pensioners, because I promised online that you will work on it and you will come back today and give us an update. So please, we are expecting that communication. And then there's a question here, say, thank you for a brilliant and educative lecture of today. Which of the two statements of Mr. Adedayo to the provost on meeting is appropriate and why? So you mentioned it for some, and then finally, let me give you the mic, and then Yoruba, one of the things I noticed, Yoruba is a very, very respect-based culture. The reason why I know that is because my mother is non-Yoruba. My mother was, from Sierra Leone. And, she more or less, a lot of my behavior and my communication, I got from her. Because she was the one that was my primary caregiver and raised me. And I know that I got into trouble a lot, particularly when I was in Nigeria. And many times people see me as rude and disrespectful. I must say, I women in different contexts, at work and in other places. And from my heart of hearts, I actually don't intend, there's no rudeness in my heart. But it is because people are seeing me, they expect, my name is Yinka, I'm Olayinka, and they expect certain things, and they don't get it. I'll give you a quick example. When I was a resident doctor in psychiatry, it was in the 80s, I didn't know the nurses on the ward were discussing me that I was very rude. And why was this? Yoruba, you say eh or o, and so on and so forth. And when I was communicating, I just mixed it up. Yes, it wasn't something I was doing on purpose. And I remember then it was one matron that was very close to me, matron Adedire. She's gone to Canada. She now called them and said, that Dr. Omigbodu, she's not being rude. She doesn't know. Get close to her and you will know her. So that's been a problem. That's also a problem. And then the other issue is the issue of when to kneel or when not to, because I remember when soon after I took office, there was a meeting I had. And because I've been rebuked in the past for being disrespectful, I am very much sensitive to it. In fact, I will tell you something. My son, because I'm raising them and they don't really know, they've been criticized in different ways. They've lived in different parts of the world. I remember once, so when he comes to Nigeria, he does dobale for everybody. Yes. Even our, because it becomes a defensive issue. I remember once I conceded for somebody who in the hierarchy of the college as a provost was supposed to report to me. And I did it because the person was older. And I just didn't want to be seen as with all this criticism. But then another person corrected me and said, in your role as provost, you can't be going around. So, I've had, Yoruba is, not only is the language, this, stressful, but even and then finally, I was raised to disagree if I don't agree. Even with my mom. And that's the way I've raised my children. My children respectfully would tell me, Mommy, I don't agree with you. And I'm happy. That's the way I want it to be. And I also raised them too, to tell their dad, say, Dad, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you. But in the context of Yoruba, you're supposed to agree with your elders. The elders know everything. Abi? And it's problematic because nobody knows everything. And you can I've gained a lot from the young people I work with who have helped me so much. One of the things I want to say is, I've been in the office of the provost now for almost 4 years. The person I've learned the most from is Mr. Dedai. Yes, he's younger than me. If I don't know the way, because I'm not a trained administrator. Fine, I am a psychiatrist. I have a master's in public health, so I did courses on financial management, human resource development, and so on and so forth. I did some administrative courses. But when I took office, I needed somebody to guide me, and I'll ask him, is it like this? Is it like this? Is it like, I was learning, he was my teacher. Yes, on many areas of administration, and I'm eternally grateful to him. True. So you can learn from your subordinates. I don't like that word, and he has used it before, and he knows. You can learn from those who are junior to you in your office. It has really helped. I learned from my children. I learned from little children. You know, you can learn. You are richer for it. And as a person, I am also open to correction. May God help me. If from my subordinates or people who are younger than me and junior to me, because it enriches my life. I don't know everything, and I will never do. So thank you so much, Dr. Egbokhare.
Thank you, Ma.
Do you want to? You will come up. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. BCC, you need training. Am I communicating?
I'd like to start with the comments from the provost about paper reports. And I would like to make reference to this slide. When we're talking about advantages of oral communication, we said it helps to prevent slight disagreements from degenerating into deep-seated grievances. So before we start writing letters, before we start writing protest letters or letters of complaints, please let's always try face-to-face interaction. If it escalates and face-to-face interaction does not solve the problem, then we can document. We also don't want to find out after the fact that we were in error, especially if it's something to do with administration or something that we do not have expertise in, or something, a decision we took based on information that is not complete. And then we later find out that there were gray areas in our grievance. So, documentation is good, but we should also remember that it's words on marble, and we may not be able to retract or write an errata if really we are in error. I don't know if that's, yes, ma. So we add some other questions. Let me start with the one on cultural boundaries. The first thing I would like to say is that there are many cultural boundaries. And because we come from different cultures, we may not be able to exhaust all the possibilities, but I would just highlight a few. One has been mentioned here already by through some of the comments. So, showing grievance to my superior or correcting my superior, in some cultures is allowed. In some other cultures is a no-no. So I would have to look at the culture of my environment and look at what is predominant. However, I should also be quick to say that there is an organizational culture which is supposed to be superior to our geographical culture. So what is the culture of the workplace? And that's why I mentioned the issue of grievance procedure, so that if it's going to cause confrontation, we'll find other means of expressing our grievances. Another boundary is physical touch. So while touch, male-to-male touch, from one brother or one friend to the other is acceptable. In organizational culture, male-to-female touch should be by consent. So it's not everybody in your office that you can greet with a hug or a pat. And we've mentioned this before. Please look for the UI gender policy. You'll see a list of the things that we should not do so that we don't run foul. If you don't know the culture of those people as per greeting them so familiarly, you don't want to make a mistake. There's also the issue of eye contact. Some years back, when MacArthur Foundation first came, some UI people went to the American embassy for visa interview, and some of them were denied. And someone came from the consulate office to train people that were applying. And he said this idea of looking down, refusing to maintain eye contact, in some cultures is seen as being shifty or as if you are hiding something. So when you go for your next visa interview, maintain eye contact. Don't be looking away. Look at the person interviewing you and answer the questions. Because when you are not looking at them, it's as if there's something you are hiding or you are lying, and you don't want them to see it in your eye that you are lying. That's about eye contact. Then there's the issue of gender roles. I think I mentioned that briefly about how this plays out. Then emotional expressions and displays. In some cultures, you don't show your emotions openly. Let's just be sensitive. Conflict resolution. I made a generic comment about a week or two ago about Edo people. I made it to my husband. And it was an unfair thing because only 2 Edo people did what I said. And I said, Edo people do like this. And I corrected myself immediately. Let's avoid such errors, yes, or stereotypes. I think these are just the few I'd like to mention for now. I would move to the question or comments by the secretary to the college. Finding a balance between firmness and fairness is still in the choice of words. Some years back, we were at a training in Abuja, and one of the participants told us that a minister called at a meeting, a minister called a permanent secretary, maybe said, oh, that was a stupid thing to say. We are foolish. Yes, young minister to a permanent secretary. And the permanent secretary did not respond. So when they left the meeting, his subordinates were angry, like, Oga, we should have changed it for the minister. How can he be speaking to you like that? And the permanent secretary said, I'm a career officer. He's a politician. And he asked the question, are you stupid? So the permanent secretary turned to his subordinate and said, is your Oga stupid? They said, no, so it's okay. And when we try to make people look bad, we look worse than the people. So when you say something like, you are foolish, are you stupid? And the person does not respond, you look worse. So some of these things is a matter of personality, is a matter of how we handle things. So, sir, we can say bad news in a good way. You can tell someone to go to hell, and the person will be looking forward to the prospect. So it's the choice of words. The Yoruba will say, Egbokhare. You'll be firm, they'll know you are firm, but you'll not be rude. So you disagree, but you are not disagreeable. It does not end in a fight, and you've made your point. So that's it about responding to. And then we talked about how to prove your points. That was Feyi. So Feyi, it's difficult, but not impossible. And you would also think of the context. Sometimes you have to go back. You let it go, especially if it's not going to affect the price of tomatoes. If it's just a wrong impression, then when the person is alone and others are not going to be there, you can go and then explain yourself. I had a similar experience, maybe about, I think, the first working day of the month with the provost. And I was trying to still prove my points, and she was correcting me. I went back to our office later, and I made my points. And we resolved it, and she hugged me. But the people that were there went, no, ma, yes, ma, you came, you did not come. They would say, oh, there was a confrontation. So you avoid open confrontation. Let's take it like we do in marketing. They say the first rule in marketing is that the customer is always right. That's the first rule. Then they say the second commandment, after that first commandment, when the customer is wrong, remember rule number 1. So this is the superior. Yes, ma. Okay, ma. Then you find a way to make your points. So if a student finds out that the lecturer is wrong, let me start from this point. Those of us that are teaching, we need to up our games. We need to be better. As they are teaching, they're on their phone. And maybe you brought the note you used in 2022. You cannot stop them from checking, especially if you've not banned the use of phone. On WhatsApp now, you have Meta AI. You just mention something. Before you finish speaking, they will call it up for you. So improve on your expertise. That's the first one. Number 2, if you are holding the microphone or coordinating a meeting, you are responsible for the information that goes out. If you give wrong information and the student does not correct you, and everybody under your voice goes away with the wrong information, imagine how many people you have miscommunicated to. So is it not better to, with humility, take the correction than to be vexed that the student corrected you? Although the student has to do it in a good way. Either you write a note or you find a way to not correct and say, sir, I may be wrong. But the understanding I have is that it is not 1927, but 1928. And the place I'm checking is so and so. Maybe it's wrong, sir. Can we look at it, sir? If he's humble, he will know that you have corrected him, and he will quickly check and say, pardon me, yes, you are right. And being a lecturer, sometimes it happens that you are not up to date. So you say, well, I give it to you as an assignment. In the next class, we are going to... On air. Sorry, I shouldn't be saying this on air. But that's the truth. You have to be humble. Knowledge is dynamic. You don't have to know everything. And when you don't know, please own up and say you don't know. I think I've taken all the questions.
Thank you, ma. She answered all the questions excellently. Can we give her a better round of applause? I've gained so much today, so much. Thank you very much, ma. Thank you, ma. The next on the program is the closing remarks by the provost.
Financial controller, please. Please come and speak on pension. Sir, if you did not do your homework, just tell us, apologize, and tell us when we can get the information. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much. I've actually done some investigation, but I don't have full information as at now. But the information I want to pass across is that, one, like I mentioned the last time, we need to know under what scheme is the retiree asking for this information. Is it under the old scheme? Is it under the new scheme? We need to establish that. So I will still want to plead that those who have issues with their pension entitlement should actually come in contact with the finance department so that we can help them. Under the old scheme, from the information I gathered, the retiree must have enrolled. Then it's also possible that the retiree has been getting their entitlement. Maybe it got stopped. When that happens, there are two things that are likely to have happened. One, maybe they did not present their certificate, their I'm Alive certificate. When you don't produce your I'm Alive certificate as at when due, the entitlement will be stopped. Then when that happens, you also need to show evidence that the money was stopped. And you can only show that by submitting the bank statement where the money is remitted. So these are very important for the retiree to be able to continue to enjoy the retirement benefit. For those who retire under the new scheme, they also must have do their clearance, enroll properly, and also get in touch with their PFAs. Sometimes there's a delay when the federal government has not released the counterpart funding. Apart from what the retired person contributed, the personal contribution, the government contribution must also be there. When this is not available, the retiree will not be able to get his entitlement. So it takes time. For instance, those who are getting their benefit now are those who retire as at 2023. So those who retire in 2020, I think they said they pay up to February last year. That is, government only released their own counterpart funding as at February last year. So for those who are expecting their retirement benefit, after those periods, they will not get it until government make available their own part of the counterpart funding. So this is the information I have for now. And I still want to plead that they should get in touch with us so that we know the exact problem that the person is having, and we'll be able to provide a solution to such problem. So we'll still report about this in our subsequent meeting. Thank you very much.
Pardon me, please. The question about which of the two statements was better, you should look at this before the meeting. The first thing I want to say is that Mr. Adedayo did not make that statement. I just used him as an example. Yes, because the person asking said which is the correct thing. So the second statement is the correct. Ma, we need to look at this. Ma, maybe we should look at this. Ma, I think, if you don't mind, ma, you know, plenty ma's and then, but not an order.
So thank you. That's still based on the respect-based culture. But you go to some other cultures, if you are saying sa and ma, it may be a bit odd. So what it means is that you need to be adaptable and flexible and know where you are so that you can use the appropriate language. So well done. I just wanted to ask again and thank the FC and Secretary to the college again for that. What I think would be best, if we can have a short presentation, and then we can even put it on our website, so that information for people who need to know about the pension process, please. And then secondly, I also think that if you're going to say see us, we need a help desk. At least a phone number that people can call, or an email from the financial or the secretary to the college office, from the college. So people can call from Canada and anywhere and get information. I don't know if you were at the lecture given yesterday by Professor Migbodu. And I also want to invite us next week, Thursday. I'm sure you are aware that we're having the university lectures. And we've had the second episode yesterday. And the last final one is next week, Thursday at 5. Yes, there's a lot I'm learning. He mentioned something about even student registration. He said when our son was in UI for a few weeks, it took him 2 weeks to register. And that meant he was going from offices across the university, carrying paper, carrying files, and stressful. Whereas he now moved to another university out of this country. He was able to register before he left Nigeria. Everything was done online. So let's get FC, rather than people come to your office, let's get to the point where I can sit in my office, I can call you, or I can send an email and I will get a response, or send a WhatsApp. Because we can now sit in our offices and do much more. And find that many times, you know, we spend a lot of time going to many offices when we, you know, because that's the expectation. Those, honestly, sir, those times we need to do things. I will just send an email. Dear FC, these are my pension numbers. This. I have not, and then he will refer it to the desk officer. And then within 24 hours, I get a response. In fact, when I send that first email, a response will come and say, you have reached the office of the financial controller. And so on, we will get back to you in 24 hours with a tentative response. Mr. Koshila, you are looking at me. Where is she? I thought okay, no, it was. That's the way the world is moving. And we will all make it easier for each other, less stressful. And I believe we can get there. So thank you so much, sir. I'm very grateful. So as we end this, the Secretary of the College has asked me to make some announcements. Why not? Secretary of the College. In my closing remarks now. He says that a certificate is being prepared for participants for the last 4 trainings. This is for participants who are punctual and who registered. Will get a certificate of attendance. That's the first thing. We can clap for him. The second is that certificates will also be issued after the next 3 training programs. This is for participants who arrive early and punctually and register. Does it affect those who are online? No, it has to be physical attendance. Give us evidence. Okay, okay. Am I going to get certificates too? Okay, thank you very much. So that I build up my CV. And then the next lecture on Friday, 14th June, 2024 is titled Dealing with My Gender Bias, a peep into the University of Ibadan policies by Dr. Demola Lewis, Department of Linguistics, past Deputy Dean of Students Affairs. So it will deal with a lot of the issues that you could not go in depth on, about gender issues and so on. And then finally, participants online are also entitled, for certificates, if we have evidence of participation from the beginning to the end in 4 successive training programs. So thank you very much, and I think we can close this meeting now by taking the college anthem. Just the college anthem. Thank you very much. Ibadan College of Medicine, hit the call. Nurturing, raising, and for the cause. Training, bringing up to date knowledge for all. Through God our Creator, we like to say, sound down to Lulu, sound forth His name. Bring out the glory of our noble soul. Ibadan College of Medicine, hit the call. Center of excellence, the best of all. Center of excellence, the best of all. Clap for yourselves and have a wonderful weekend.